What's up, everybody? Rob Ferrari, and today I'm going to talk about the quirks that you'll find on some dream cars. And I'm going to show you some of my cars, but to somebody this is their dream car. To somebody my Supra is their dream car. To somebody a Ferrari is their dream car. I've got a couple of them, so I'll show you around. One of the first things that you think of when you think of an NSX is that's good looking. And you're damn right, it is good looking. Not so fast. It's pretty slow. The Comtech supercharger will spruce that back up. I wouldn't really call it a quirk as much as I'd call it a aspect of the car. Same with the brakes. It needs a little bit more brakes. It doesn't have enough. That's why I switched to the StopTechs. Everything else is pretty good. It's very reliable, but there's a couple of things that you don't really expect. One of them being back here. Ian, if you'd like to relocate. Now, quirks can't be fixed. If I want more horsepower, I put a supercharger on it. If I want to stop better, I put better brakes on it. The trunk here doesn't close. And I've tried it so many times, slamming it, doing all sorts of things, leaning on it. When I first bought the car, the previous owner didn't tell me about it. What you have to do is put both hands under here, right above the logo, and click. Seems a little unreasonable for such a major car manufacturer to have that as their process to close it, but that's the only way to close the trunk. Let's check out the engine cover. There's a couple things here. One of them being that this is where, if you have a target top, which I love, you can store the target top here. Now, what sucks about that is when you're driving around and maybe say it starts raining, having driven around, this thing is right on top of the engine. And what happens? The engine gets hot, the top gets hot, and you physically can't even lift it up because your hands can't deal with it. So now you either get wet or you do whatever you can to wrap your hands in something and try not to get third-degree burns on your hands while you put your top on. Now that we've sorted that out, same problem. It doesn't close. Same thing on the latch, two hands, push it down. So those three things there, you can't fix that. That's just a quirk of the car. That's what you get. And you don't really have an option to upgrade. Like performance, you can upgrade. You don't like the radio, you don't like the buttons, you can upgrade. Those are quirks. And let's move over to the Supra. So the Supra is definitely a dream car, and it's not as quirky as most of the other ones, but it does have and I don't want to say it's a poorly designed top, but that target top, you know, the one from Fast and the Furious, it doesn't quite come off like that. You need a tool. So where everybody else from the same generation was just doing latches, literally the lever, whoosh, whoosh, 2 or 3 to latch a top on and off, this one has this little crank, and you literally have to loosen it down, spin it around, tighten it up to put it on and off. It's a much more complicated process. Taking the top on and off a Supra takes probably 2 minutes longer than any other top, and that sort of sucks. That's possibly the only quirky thing about it. I'm going to do a whole video on the Supra, and when you have a modified Supra, the drivability issues and the things that sort of take away from what you hope and dream of it being in your head doesn't exactly live up to that, especially not at the bargain price that you're hoping for, which is what Supras are known for, is that they're fairly cheap to build up and maintain. But if you want one that drives like this dream car in your head, it's not cheap. We're talking like $6,500 clutch expensive. Let me put this back. All right, next victim, Ferrari 360. This isn't just the convertible, this isn't just the year, this is all Ferrari 360s. There's a couple of quirks that you should know about, and these are things you can't change, like the alarm. You actually have to disable the alarm prior to starting the car, and once you do that, you have 60 seconds to start it. Otherwise, it'll just crank over as if there was no gas in it, and the starter will go on forever. So you're like, what's going on? Why is the thing not starting? It's usually because of the alarm. You think you pushed the button, but you didn't push the button, then you push it twice, and then the alarm goes back on. It takes you a minute to start. Common thing that I see with these cars. Other things that you'll notice, Ferrari, for some reason, they've never really put crazy radios in. And when I say crazy radios, good radios. They had a thing with Becker forever. And if the battery dies or you disconnect the battery, the radio requires a code to be able to play it. And you get that code when you buy the car. In your manual, they give you a little card with the radio code. But nobody carries that around. So if your battery dies or your car is somewhere or you don't even know where that code is, you literally have to call the dealership to get a code just to play your semi-crappy radio. And that's one of those things that you can fix that. That's a quirk that can be fixed, but most cars don't. Most Ferrari guys don't swap the radio. They leave the factory radio. But that's something that really bothers me because it's okay if you steal my car, you're just not able to use the radio. There's no logic as to why you would have a radio code for a radio that's not even like people are taking it and putting it into another car. The Ferrari radio was nothing compared to any aftermarket radio that exists. So that was really weird. It's quirky. It's just something that I don't really get. Another thing that you don't know about Ferraris, that most of them come with available luggage set options. And I showed you the one at Pebble Beach. Those luggage sets are so ridiculously expensive to buy on the used car market or on the used market. But for some reason, people they want it as part of a car. Like they'll spend $8,000 for 3 suitcases they're never going to put anything in just so they have the luggage set to go with the car. It's really weird. I don't really understand the purpose for it. I mean, I get luggage that fits in the car that allows you to sort of fit it in a specific space. Like the McLaren F1 has the luggage that goes into these little cubby holes that they built for it so you could bring stuff with you. This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like luggage sets selling for $8,000 that originally sold for $3,500, which is why most people don't even bother getting it because you have your own luggage. Really weird. It's just one of those things that I can't explain. The other thing that bothers me on this car is the gas cap, and a lot of people don't get it. When you turn, in order to open the gas cap, there is, over here, a lever. Not a lever, a switch. But the only way to open the gas cap is to have the power on in the car to then turn off the gas cap. So if you have to have the key in. If for some reason you take the key out and you forget, you can't open the gas cap. And that's really weird. Like most cars, you just push the gas cap and it opens. This one, it doesn't let you do that. See? Nothing. But if I put the key in the car, nothing. Turn the key on, magic happens. So, another thing that's sort of weird. Also back here you have, also needs power, this micro cubby, which is, see what John's got in here. Oh, that's where he keeps his registration and insurance instead of the glove box. Zoink. Zoink. Yeah, just those little things that you didn't know. And now that we're talking about the gas tank, the gas cap, the gas tank, did you know that a 360 has like a 26 or 27 gallon tank? It's not uncommon to fill it up and have 24, 25 gallons go into it. Bet you didn't know that. And it's good that you have so much fuel because when you get down to like a quarter of a tank, anything under that isn't really so accurate. It's very common for a Ferrari to show like an eighth of a tank of gas and then be blinking as if like you are completely empty. And then a mile or two later, oh, guess what? You got gas again. Very, very common. Something you didn't realize, but not really something to worry about either. And probably the last thing worth noting that you're not familiar with, the tops, the top mechanism for a convertible for a 360 or 430, extremely expensive. And when I say extremely expensive, if something breaks on that top, which it's not unheard of, it does happen, the top from the factories are like $45,000 or $50,000. Now this car could be worth $75,000, and that's why fur parts, exotic auto recycling exist, but you can't just order your individual components. If you break a little thing on the top, you have to order the whole top from the factory to get it. So if you bring it into a dealer, that's your option. Fixing just specific pieces on that top, you can't do it. So it's okay for a Ferrari to be a little quirky. It's expected. Now you get a Mercedes truck, something like this. Maybe you're not a sports car guy, maybe you're a truck guy. I bet what you didn't know about these trucks is it's like a fancy Jeep Wrangler. This thing floats all over the road. It's very unstable. I can't even tell you that this is possibly one of the worst cars to me to drive because it's all over the place. And it's very like top heavy. It feels like it's going to turn over at any second. It is the opposite of stable at speed, where I would say the Range Rover is on point. The G550, not so much. It just looks like a Russian mobster car, or like the one that's always in the Bourne movies for the bad guy. Like each assassin needs like one of these things. So anyway, that's that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that gives you a peek into little things that you didn't know about some of your potential dream cars. And there's more to come. There's a lot more. We've got LP640 battery placements. We've got how to get into a Porsche when the battery dies to jumpstart it, because you can't, because everything's electric. Think about it. Front trunk electric, rear trunk electric, batteries in one of them. What happens when the battery dies? How do you get in? I'll show you in another video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Take care.